I'm going to be addressing the subject matter here in a sort of a deadpan way. We're just going to do this. Depending on which Republican you hear this from, Chuck Grassley, etc., or is it the FBI saying something or being asked very, very pointedly a certain question and answer set so that he can't speak properly from the FBI? Someone states somewhere, somehow, that there is a typed up June 2020 interview as a file where they interviewed a foreign national who made the following claim. I, the foreign national, a person from another country, am coming to you to tell you that I made 15 Hunter Biden and 2 Vice President Joe Biden audio recordings of their phone conversation they had with a Ukrainian businessman involved in Burisma Holdings named Mykola Zlochevsky. We'll just call him Mykola. And also stating this individual, I'm the foreign national, said that that foreign businessman gave Joe Biden $5 million to stop a corruption investigation that he was subject to in Ukraine, and also $5 million for some reason to Hunter. Let me rephrase that. The FBI had someone walk in and deadpan, June 2020, do a deposition stating, I wiretapped the Vice President of the United States and have 2 audio recordings to prove it. Yes, that's the gist of this. This is a person who walked in off the street and says, I'm a whistleblower, I got some evidence. But the way it's phrased, and remember, the Republicans are avoiding saying this is someone who's making a bold claim that they wiretapped the Vice President of the United States, and it's a foreign national, and it was a communication, presumably, with the country of Ukraine's business person named Mykola. It's probably a person who worked at Burisma, and wiretapping a conversation, if you believe that it's a president or vice president of a foreign nation, is a very, very bad idea. But it's totally a foreign national, because if it was an American citizen, why are we having this conversation? So this is someone claiming they have proof Joe Biden took $5 million bribe. So that's 2 audio recordings. Okay, where are they? And then we hear nothing. And I'm sure the FBI heard nothing as well, because they probably said, so now that you've given us this deposition, you understand that this can be used in a case against you because you wiretapped the vice president, right? I mean, just setting foot in the United States allows them to just arrest the son of a bastard, right? Okay, cool. So again, repeating, the claim is, while Joe Biden was vice president, someone wiretapped his ass accidentally because he was wiretapping somebody in Ukraine. I mean, technically that wouldn't be a violation. We'll go with it. We'll fly with that. And somehow also he had proof that $5 million bribe, not an interpretation, $5 million was mentioned it was going to go to Joe Biden. Now, what brought this guy forward? Rudy Giuliani. You know, the lackey, the lapdog, the little bitch for Trump. Okay, I'm going to repeat something that you might not have remembered here. This is someone claiming to wiretap a vice president of the United States. Next, claiming to wiretap the vice president's son, which would be considered attempted to create influence over a vice president. Next, this sounds like someone collecting dirt to bribe to get, to extort money. Next, this is a claim that they have proof that, because this person probably worked at Burisma, this would be proof that Mykola was trying to bribe a foreign vice president to try to have some effect on a local, and I'm not ignorant of what actually happened and all the shit that went down, but 90% of what Republicans used to claim about this until Giuliani magically found this whistleblower, this is a while ago apparently, was that just Hunter Biden was a dirty crook in another country. And that somehow means that the then vice president had to be a dirty crook. And of course, that means that Joe Biden must have put the crack pipe in Hunter Biden's mouth. Now, I hope this video hasn't wasted your time, but I'm going to repeat this. This is someone who's either overtly claiming that he wiretapped a vice president, or he's being accused of it and said, well, I found some dirt. Maybe it sounds like somebody trying not to go to jail for wiretapping the vice president. But anyway, Iowa Republican Chuck Grassley and a bunch of other people who were involved in this are making claims along the lines of not really phrasing it this way, because phrasing it this way doesn't sound very good. This sounds like a person who's, okay, I'll just get to the point. Someone working at Burisma Holdings recorded their boss at the business having conversations and then weeded through them to locate an audio recording of someone either claiming to be Joe Biden or it sounded like Joe Biden. What is it? And then we find out, oh, well, it's a redacted interview and it's written out and it's subject to interpretation. Okay, well, I'm sure that the Republicans will just sit there and read it back as much as they can by rephrasing it, right? It's not like they could just release the redacted copy of this thing to us so we could evaluate it without, Major Utility Green overtly lying like she does a lot of times. If you're not aware of it, these people who stand up that you see on C-SPAN are not required by law to take an oath that they won't lie. They cannot be punished for lying to you through the cameras. And every one of them is a politician. I don't know if you get that. That's kind of why they don't have to take an oath. Even if they're lawmakers, just like a lawyer in a courtroom, they're not required to take an oath that they will tell the truth. They can lie. It's legal for them to lie. And now we're at this point. Again, Hunter Biden isn't the president. Joe Biden is. Joe Biden was the vice president. When this was brought up, again, Rudy Giuliani, someone's bitch dog, brings this up at his behest. We have this interview happening. And who knows what else. And it involves a Ukrainian businessman being recorded by somebody at his workplace doing something that sounds fishy, and the FBI has this information. And of course, the Republicans aren't telling us whether or not the guy turned over the 2 recordings to Joe Biden. I don't give a fuck about Hunter. If you have proof that Joe Biden was on a recording saying, I'll take $5 million and I'll try to help you in your country, if there isn't a recording that we have, then we don't have any evidence. Again, if anybody's not aware of it, after launching one investigation after another, trying to make some hay out of this shit, they keep running into nothing. And they've actually had to admit publicly, well, it was a great success. And then someone actually questions them enough, they finally have to, eventually, one or two of these people who did these investigations of Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, trying to find some shit on them, has had to admit under oath, no, we didn't find anything. Because some of the people are actually held to a standard that's much better than your representative in Congress and the House and whatever. These people we elect to do our bidding that don't, that do things for their own reasons, that are obsessed with Hillary Clinton's emails and Barack Obama's birth certificate and who knows what else in their private life that we don't want to know about. And again, this is the FBI interviewing someone who is probably being investigated for spying. But hey, I got dirt on the president or vice president. Okay, that's great. Well, it's 2020. Why didn't you just provide it before then? And where's the recording? Unless they state they were given a recording by the schmuck, they don't have a recording. And again, in the recording, does the person state the person's name? Does someone say, is this Joe Biden? Yes. That's not going to be good enough. This has to be time and date stamped. If somebody made a recording like this, they knew the time and date stamp. That can be checked. But do I believe Joe Biden took a bribe for $5 million? I don't know. Do I care if Hunter got money? I don't give a goddamn. He's a crack-smoking nitwit. He's a train wreck. That's not the point. This is an attempt to get Joe Biden invalidated in people's eyes so that they can tilt people to vote away from him. That's all. They're trying to get the fence sitters to vote for somebody other than Joe Biden. That's all. And this kind of shit is supposed to influence people who are on the fence about this to not immediately vote against every Republican they run into because, again, this is a bunch of hot air. Republicans are pointing out that there isn't any proof that the recordings exist. What that means in coded language is the guy who made these claims never turned the recordings over to the FBI. And again, this is a person stating they basically wiretapped the vice president. So doesn't that sound like an investigation to see if this person wiretapped the vice president by accident by recording somebody else, maybe illegally, or was it a person who was deliberately intercepting calls from the vice president specifically? And again, people who questioned the FBI person who presented it may or may not have phrased their questions so that that person couldn't answer the questions before we asked them. Okay, my take on this. Again, after umpteen investigations, and now I have to point out people claiming that they've filed articles of impeachment when they're just requesting impeachment paperwork be filed and it doesn't. That's not happened. None of this is brought forward with evidence. This is easy. The two recordings of then Vice President Joe Biden with a time and date stamp. That would be the beginning level. And it could be faked, but I'd rather have that. If we had that, that would be worth it. But then we'd have to have specifics. And again, this is supposed to be somebody offering Joe Biden a bribe. It may be a recording of him saying no. Again, someone claiming to have dead bang proof of it and not providing it means it isn't proof. It's probably bullshit. And again, this is someone who's acknowledging that they wiretapped, probably by accident, the vice president while they were in Ukraine and probably while working in Burisma. That does narrow it down to maybe a certain number of people in Ukraine that worked at Burisma or whatever. And they probably know who it is. And we'll find out later. But again, Giuliani's involved in it. Therefore, it stinks and seems to be bleeding black blood from the eye sockets. I'm making fun of his hair thing. But this sounds like yet another coked up bullshit thing brought forward by the politicians. And if anybody's curious, Russia also, I think, is a dead subject personally. But again, all of this is being brought up simply because Donald Trump got prosecuted finally. He's been indicted the second time. So thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck.